everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Unfolding Life podcast, where we discuss life and all its possibilities and responsibilities. We are your hosts, Gail
and Shaquille.
And today we'll be discussing life as a young parent. We'll be going over the pros and cons and offering advice to those who are young parents and those who want to become parents soon. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so we just talked about one major amazing thing and one major difficult thing. What are a list of pros and cons of being a young parent?
All right, so for me, a pro, I'm no longer gelding.
Can't ask if you can drive a truck again.
Jump off that truck early. But no, I mean, for me, it's just having a child helps you to develop. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's one of the pros. If you really feel like you're mature, mm-hmm. you don't know the half. I'm not saying that I'm mature more than anyone else. No, but I can tell you that where I was before mm-hmm. having a child mm-hmm. to where I am at this point in life mm-hmm. is completely different. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's the biggest pro. There are a lot of other things like,
impulse control. Yeah, improved impulse control for me, because if it is, all right, so before it was just me that I'd have to be concerned about. So there are certain things that I can go without. But if I don't control, my spending or anything like that, she would probably end up paying the price. I have to be able to control myself to a certain level to be able to make sure that I can provide for her properly.
Right.
Yeah.
And just one more thing, on the self-improvement when you have a child. Mm. If you have ever been impatient, if you have ever been the person to want everything to be done now, when you have a child, that child will not go by your timing. Mm-hmm. And you're going to learn that you're going to have to be patient. God knows we had it very difficult. And as I think every parent does, mm-hmm. had it very difficult in the beginning stages, with her sleep schedule. Mm-hmm. Couldn't sleep. Mm-hmm.
Right.
4:00 in the morning, she's wide awake.
All gums green.
So those things, it's going to teach you patience. It's going to stress you out, but it's going to teach you patience. It's going to teach you that sometimes when certain things happen, when she does certain things, or, back to her mischief, and she does certain things, you're going to learn that not everything deserves a certain reaction. Mm-hmm. And you're going to learn to talk more. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn to talk things out, even though she might not be able to understand exactly what you're saying at this point, or depending on the stage. But as she progresses, you're going to learn, that you can speak to her or him and, come to a conclusion with that child. I never understood that, I could do that before. I grew up a different way. But she taught me that I didn't have to go the way that I grew up. Mm-hmm. I can talk. I can sit her down. I can show her what she's doing. Mm-hmm. And while she's developing, I'm developing my own interpersonal skills as well.
All right, because you have to get really creative with those solutions. You have to really think outside the box and, think of certain ways to handle each situation so that she actually learns. It's not just a punishment. She's actually learning from that.
Right.
So she can develop into a full and, well-rounded human being.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we just spoke about mainly pros, cons now.
A con for me is you honestly don't ever have time to do anything else. Mm-hmm. For me, it's whatever work I'm doing between my house, my child, my wife, that's it. I don't really have time for anything else.
Yeah.
Pretty much if I wake up at 7 a.m. and I get through all those things, it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it takes away a lot of your freedom. I don't know about anybody else. You know, we don't really leave the child with anyone. So with persons who have the comfort of doing that, and that's fine. You can definitely do that. You know, persons who you trust, but we don't really have that comfort a lot of the times. So she's always with us. So that takes away a lot of your free time. You know, a lot of the times I would just want to be, you know, sitting there and be on my phone or playing a video game or doing something, and she's on me. She has my hand. She pulling my hand. It's you can't do anything and not integrate them in it.
Right.
Really. So that's one of the. I guess it's a con, but not really. You know, to me that's the only downside. You don't really have a lot of time for yourself.
Yeah. This may or may not be a con. It does challenge you emotionally, but, you know, at the end of it all, it really does help you to improve. So it might not be a con. Maybe it's a short-term con, but a long-term pro. So it challenges you, really, really challenges you mentally and emotionally. But you do develop, you know, new skills that way. So I suppose, like I said, short-term pro, long-term con. But that's pretty much it, you know, and the cost, like the financial cost. Oh my gosh.
I mean, we're going to get into, you know, advice, you know, for persons, you know, who are either young parents themselves or about to be young parents or intending on being a parent at a younger age. And when we say young parent, we just mean pretty much anyone below the age of 30. You know, having a child in your 20s is pretty much, you know, what we're referring to. And don't get me wrong, because you have a lot of persons who are even outside the ages of 30 who will still struggle with almost all of the things that we're struggling with. So, you know, yeah.
That is true. And some might say they might struggle more simply because when you're younger, you have more energy with a child, you know, who has boundless energy. Because I've heard people say when they were younger and they had kids, it was easier for them then than when they were older and had another child.
I can see that. I can see that, you know, how I was able to move when I was 20.
I can't do that.
No. Yeah, that is out the window.
My joints will humble me.
You know, so that's true, and you know, kudos to the persons who have children at a certain age and manage to pull through. Kudos. I am retiring very soon from it. I have no intention to have a child beyond a certain age because
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Another pro too is that this is for kind of like the fun part. When they are 18, you'll be young enough to still enjoy some of what you could enjoy in your 20s. You know?
Yep.
You know how they say when you're young you don't have the money, but you have the energy and you have the time. When you're, you know, middle-aged, you don't have the time, but you have the energy and you have the money. And then when you're older, you have the time and you might have the money, but you might not have the energy. Being a young parent and, you know, cutting off at a certain point might enable you to enjoy, you know, the fruits of some of your labor.
Well, don't get me wrong, you know, having a child at a young age it doesn't stop you if you have a good support system in place. It won't really affect you too much.
Right.
You will still suffer from a lot of the things, you know, that we mentioned. But having a child at a young age and having them grow, it won't necessarily stop you from enjoying your life. It won't.
No, you can still enjoy your life.
Personally, for me, my happiness has gone up by
because of
it has gone up by at least 80% just by having a child.
Right.
The genuine happiness, not the happiness that I have to put on for people to go out and smile,
or the temporary enjoyment of
right. Genuine love, genuine happiness, that brings that. A child brings that. But we will get into some of the things that we think that we should have done, or things that person should possibly try to have done before looking to have a child.
Right.